All right, we are back. Got Joni Wedler is in the studio with us, and Joni is the executive director. Yep, we were able to get somebody in the executive director actually in the studio this early in the morning. She's got makeup on. She looks absolutely beautiful, blonde hair. I said, "This is radio. You do flip flops and PJs in here. It's never a problem at all. Like that's what we usually wear around here."
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. It's early.
Yeah, well, you're right down the street from here, though, because you guys, at Nutmeg, you're, just a hop, skipping away. That's easy to get back and forth. But you probably don't sleep there all the time, right?
No, not all the time.
Not all
Only
the time.
some days.
Only some days. But you have a definite mission, and this is why we brought you in, Larry Mongello, who I can never. Saying no to Larry just makes my life too confusing, and Larry's been heavily involved. I'm a big believer in cable and in access, as I am. It still comes back to community. It still comes back to local. It still comes back to really what the guts of WTIC radio is all about, is taking care of the community. And I have such a passion for what you guys do over there. But and I know we're gonna have Walter Mann on with us in just a little bit too. But I wanted to. I just wanted to give people the lay of the land so they know what's going on. So everybody hears about Nutmeg TV and what they do, and we know that they do a lot of local programming. I know Jackie Ford has a great show over there. She does for the DCF. Jackie and I go back a million years, and she's been in the studio here with us before too. Just incredible. And so tell us a little bit about what Nutmeg TV is. And how important it is really to the community.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity and to have the listeners know really what we do. Nutmeg TV is centrally located in Farmington, as you just said, and we support cities and towns. Government programming, educational programming, public programming, and anyone can come in and do a show about anything that they'd like. So you mentioned Jackie Ford. She's a wonderful advocate. Working with DCF on all things DCF, which is a great opportunity for them. We also have veterans programs. Chuck Wooden does the Veterans Corner, which is a very important show. We do programming with the Humane Society on pet education, pet health, questions that people may have about their pet. And you see our little Zoe over there, who is just a love, and it's important for people to be able to engage with that. Joyce St. Germain, Sacred Journeys, Alternative Health, Spirituality. Jim Reed, What's Your Story? And the list goes on and on.
Don't forget that racing show that you do over
there.
Oh,
no, it's because of Larry that we're here.
Yeah.
It's because of Larry we're here. And Larry just completed over 500 programs. And there's a lot of racing enthusiasts, even in Plainville, right down the road here, there was a Plainville Stadium,
Big
right?
time.
Big time.
Everybody
My dad raced there.
Oh, yeah, everybody did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so Larry's been able to go up to Lime Rock and do some wonderful things. Now, how is that all possible? All that equipment is free. The studio is free. People can just walk in the door and do anything that they would like. A cooking show, bring in a group of students who do the robotics championships in our local high school. We do graduations, high school sports, all of it. Why is that there? Because there are other countries that don't have those opportunities. The government runs the TV, right? But here in the United States, public access is all across the country. And we are there because in 1984, in the Cable Act, it was decided that the folks, the people, the residents, had a right to have access to the channels. And they needed to have a channel space. So we have a channel for public programming, which is what we just talked about. We have a channel for educational programming and government programming. So you'll see your town council meetings. You'll see your Board of Ed meetings. Those are all very important for ways that people engage with their legislators and with the folks that are running the town. Where are our tax dollars going, right? We all are interested in knowing that. And so school programs, Board of Ed, these are very, very important and critical to democracy, and it's a wonderful, wonderful platform. So everything that we have at Nutmeg TV, and Walter's going to tell you too, down in his neck of the woods, which is southern Connecticut, there are stations all across Connecticut. You know about the one in Newington. Yep. They're wonderful folks doing wonderful things. And we're all there to create that gap between what happens with the news. Maybe the news can only give you a 30-second soundbite, but you could take an hour and talk about the full problem or story on public access TV.
I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. We're going to take a break and then we'll bring Walter in. But when you look back at the roots of radio, and when radio was always about, like it was like the town crier in town. You go out and every town had a radio. Every town had a radio station back then, everywhere. And that was how it was all done. And that was how you heard about your local meetings, and planning and zoning and town council and all the things that happen right in the own corner of your world. Were local radio stations, and pretty much they're gone. Most of them are all gone. TIC coming up on 100 years, but always the roots of it, working with the community. Even this morning at 7:30, from 8:30, we do Community Connections, which is with the United Way, and Maura Cook comes in as my co-host, and we talk about everything in the community that's going on with the United Way. So the roots of it are always that, and I think what people don't realize, how fortunate they were when all of a sudden they actually had television available to them on local TV to cover things like the sports events at the high school, the graduation. You see these people that go out there, the political things that go on. These are all volunteers in many cases that actually are the ones that are putting in endless hours. You imagine what it's like to go to a town council meeting, to go to a Board of Ed meeting, to go to a TPZ meeting, stand there with a camera and listen to these people for endless hours. God bless them. I'll go on camera. I'll play the clown. I'll do a half an hour. I'll see you guys later. But it's the roots and the people behind it. So every community is so fortunate. But this is all in jeopardy. So that's why we wanted to have Joni come in today, and why Walter Mann is going to join us right after the break. So first we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about how it may be in jeopardy and how you need to speak up to hold on to your local TV stations, the way you're trying to hold on to your local WTIC. I'm Steve Parker. We'll catch you in just a few minutes after our break. And that's Joni Wedler from Nutmeg TV on WTIC News Talk 1080. All right, we are back. It's 6:51 on WTIC News Talk 1080. And in the studio with us, we have Joni Wedler, who's the executive director of Nutmeg TV. And when she said to me, she knew Walter Mann. Man, oh man, it's been a long time since I've talked to Walter Mann. Walter and I worked for a long time down at News Channel 8 back in the 90s, and Walter and I both share the passion for Access TV, and we used to talk about that all the time. I went into that. He both went into that probably in the mid-'80s when and cable and access really got very, very active, and now he's actually got a responsible job. He's the executive director of the North Brantford, and North Haven TV. So let's see if he's still willing to talk to me. Good morning to you, Walter. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Stephen. I got to tell you, I love that between rounds jingle. That's great.
Well, I'm going to tell you, those two, that jingle and also Cussin Automotive, those are two jingles that the company that I was with for a long time, L&R Productions, Tommy Russo, God rest his soul. We always love doing jingles, and that's two of them. So,
yeah.
So unfortunately, we lost Tommy, but he sings on. All right. So Walter, your pipes sound great this morning. Early morning for broadcasting is great. So, Walter, tell us what's going on down there in your neck of the woods, and why it's so important for you and Joni to be here today.
Well, you guys hit the nail on the head in terms of localism, and as the media landscape has changed over the years, and we used to talk about this at Channel 8 when we were there together, but local community TV stations really have filled the void that has been left as a result of deregulation. And you guys have talked about a lot of things we do, local election coverage and storm coverage and town meetings and all that kind of stuff. And, we're all fearful that that's going to go away because of changes in technology, which has, affected a lot of things, some good, some bad. And, trying to be brief about this, we're funded based upon the amount of cable TV subscribers. That's the way the law was written years ago. And technology has changed, and people are moving away from traditional cable TV to streaming services. And that's affected us because since we're based on cable TV subscriber numbers, and those are going down, we're starting to really get affected, and our future is not bright because of that. So we've been really working hard to try to get laws changed in Connecticut that would ensure our survival. And, in a nutshell, that's what we're working on, and that's why we need to get people out there in touch with their legislators to voice their opinion and let the elected officials know that the community TV is important and it's worth saving.
Okay, so Walter, and we're talking to Walter Mann, who's the executive director of North Branford, and North Haven TV, and in the studio is Joni Wedler, and Joni is with the Nutmeg TV. She's the executive director there, right over here in Farmington Valley, around the corner from us. Okay, so Walter, before we tell people how to take action on this, it's all breaking up. People are getting away from cable. What other ways are people getting this information that Access has provided all these years? And because once they turn off that cable, it can get a little tricky about trying to find their Access programs. I go through this all the time. Well, yeah, the meetings are still out there, but I can't find them as easy. So how are they watching it now, Walter?
Well, and it's not just the community TV that their platform, if you will, is changing. I think there's going to be a day when channels will no longer exist as we know them. It's all going to be on demand and or streaming in terms of live content. But we have all of us have worked hard at all these various stations around Connecticut to adapt to the technology changes to offer our product. Through our websites, through content aggregators like YouTube and different Vimeo and other services. So we really have tried to push hard, especially for those folks who have abandoned cable TV as their choice of entertainment at home, that we are still out there, that we are still online, that we are on these platforms and on our websites, whether it's live on demand content. We really adapted it and tried hard to be there for people who have left the cable TV world.
And you know what the interesting thing is? People have heard the term cut the cord, right? But the cord was never really cut because you still have a cord going to your house.
Yep.
And what's happening in Connecticut are the companies like Comcast, Charter, Cox, they're just sliding under. They found a loophole in the law. They're sliding under the law, and so we're not being funded. So even though it's the same street, the same wire going to your house, the same customer, they've decided they're not going to pay the fee. And do you know what the deal was? In 2007, they got a really good deal. They pay no personal property tax on any truck, any wire, anything cable related in Connecticut. And Connecticut is the first state in the country, or the only state in the country that still allows this personal property tax exemption. So these companies are using our public streets for their infrastructure to profit. And they found a loophole in the law, and that's why we're going down, because we're not receiving our funding. So if folks are tired about what's happening in Connecticut cable, they need to speak up now because there are many things that we cannot regulate in Connecticut, but there are many things we can. And if our local channels are gone, they will not return.
All right. So real quick, because I'm going to have to wind up here, how do they take action? What do they do? Who do they contact? What bill do they talk about? Because I know it's a short legislative session. So
yes, it is. The best thing to do is www.digitalequityconnecticut or CT.com. So I'm going to repeat that, digitalequityct.com. When you go there, there's a petition. You just click the link. You can sign the petition. And there's also another link to email all legislators, including Governor Lamont and Lieutenant Governor Bicewicz, to say, please keep this alive in Connecticut. Do not be the first state in New England to close down public access.
Walter, anything you want to add?
All I'll say is, this is like crunch time for us. And you know what they say, you don't know what you got until it's gone, and we're getting to that point, and that's why we really need to make our voices heard up in Hartford.
All right, and then one last thing real quick, and if people want more information and they've missed all of this stuff, they can go right to Nutmeg TV and check you out.
Please.
And down in your neck of the woods, Walter, where do you send them?
Easiest place is nhtv.com.
NH, like New Haven, nhtv.com, or you go to Nutmeg, and you both have Facebook pages too, right?
Yes.
So, and if nothing else, and what do I say? I got like 10 seconds here. What do I say to my state rep? What do I tell them to do?
Save public access in Connecticut now.
Perfect. That's all we need. Save public access in Connecticut now. Hey, Joni, awesome to have you here.
Thank you.
Walter, thank you so much. You and I will catch up off the air and talk about the really good stuff. All right. Thanks a lot, Walter. And I know we've been separated for a long, long time, but I've never forgotten about you. And even though you've tried your best to forget it, no, I'm only kidding. But you're always in my heart, man. I love your passion for everything that you do. And let's talk again soon, all right?
Thank you, Steve.
You got it, man. God bless. All right, we got to get out of here. Oh my gosh, the 7 o'clock news is up next with Morgan Cunningham. And don't forget to support your local access TV on WTIC News Talk, Radio 1080.